In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at the European model, the GFS model, and the Canadian model for the upcoming big snowstorms. We have one that is kind of ongoing, and then one more definitely on the way after that one. A question mark after that in the upcoming pattern, but I'm sure, as you will see in this video, it looks like there is more opportunities on the way. Now, as we're taking a look at this European model, first off, we can see already we have a snowstorm taking aim here at kind of the northeastern United States. And really, we're probably about right here as we speak currently. So that low is right offshore of North Carolina. We can tell there is tons of this Gulf energy just infusing itself into this storm. Snowfall starting out here for Ohio, Pennsylvania, portions of New York, Indiana. Michigan as well in there getting some action. We're definitely seeing some of that. And as we head towards later on tonight, we're going to see more and more snowfall here across the Northeast. Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, even portions of Massachusetts and West Virginia seeing snowfall. This is one of our first snowstorms for the Northeast this winter. Definitely winter looking to turn around in a big way here as we enter into a very, very wintry pattern. That storm continues for portions of New England all the way through tomorrow evening, but we will see it basically comes to an end by the time we're taking a look at very early on Tuesday morning. That'll be about 5 a.m. And we see another storm starting out here for Texas, New Mexico as well. We see this already starting out by Tuesday morning. So right as one enters in and the other one is exiting out at the same exact time. We see tons of moisture entering into this storm as well for Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma there. So we're seeing a lot of that. And then snowfall for portions of Texas and Oklahoma there. Very, very rare type of snowstorm. We see this low is located here. We see the energy again just entering into this storm from the Gulf. And we see lots of cold air on the back end, allowing for this to really become a decent snowstorm here across the Ohio Valley and the southern plains as well for Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma. And then again, in through that Ohio Valley region, we're also seeing a snowstorm from this event. Now, this moves all the way up into the Northeast, so we're seeing snowfall for portions of New England, the Northeast, by the time we're taking a look at Wednesday into Thursday. So again, back-to-back snowstorms, just like we've been calling for here for probably more than a week. We're usually pretty on point with finding these signals pretty far out, which is a really, really good thing. Obviously, you're going to be looking at specific details. That's where the inaccuracies come in long range. But as far as seeing storm signals, that is the important thing to note in the long range, and we've successfully done that here. Now we do see snow showers. I don't know why I said that so weird. Snow showers entering in through the northern plains here with a lot of that cold air. We still see this Gulf energy on tap here for this storm, all the way through the Gulf, through the panhandle of Texas, Florida. I don't know why I just called it Texas, but Florida, all the way up the East Coast. So again, another stormy day probably for a lot of these regions across the Southeast. Very, very snowy again across that Northeast Great Lakes and uh, kind of Ohio Valley region there. Now, as we move up, we can tell that this still has some of this Gulf and Southeast energy really infused into the storm, but it's a little bit less at this point. We still see some snowfall here across the very northern and western extents of this storm taking place. And then it's basically all said and done by that point. And what we're left with is very cold air in the eastern United States and a bit of some warmer air out west here, which allows for this cold to really enter in. Now it's a little bit more mild out west, as you can see, because we see some mixing happening across the northern plains for January. That's very, very rare. We see more of this cold air pouring in here on the eastern side of things. As you can see, with snow showers as far south as the Smoky Mountains and all around, basically, for a lot of these interior eastern United States. Now, as we continue things on, we do see our next storm shape up, and right as it does, this balance sort of moves in the direction of the west. We see more cold air pushing in the west and more warm air kind of pushing up in the east here. And what this ends up doing is creating this kind of rising storm motion. So we're seeing the rain snow line kind of positively tilted about like that. So we're seeing a bit of a upward battle here with this rain snow line the whole way through. More rainfall on the southern end of things for sure here is the trend unless things change. We get a little bit more of a snowy solution here on February 1st, a possible snowstorm for Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. So again, the northeast region of the country being targeted by another snowstorm. This is maybe the fourth snowstorm that we're seeing here, these models trend at for the Northeast, which is kind of the fourth of the winter as well, because we haven't really seen much activity at all with this, and we still see this Gulf energy finding its way into the storm. So that explains why it's such an intense storm. So we're getting like 3 to 4 of these storms in the next 10 days. As we take a look here at the total precipitation through those 10 days, we see here anywhere in the whites is expecting practically no precipitation. Your grays, pretty much a tenth of an inch or less, so practically none there. We see anywhere in the greens, a tenth of an inch to half an inch, blues half an inch to an inch, your yellows an inch to 2 inches, reds 2 to 5 inches there, your browns 5 to 10. And we're seeing that most of this activity is going to be located over this eastern region of the country. You can totally tell that the Gulf is going to be bringing a lot of this moisture northward into the eastern United States, and this is what's allowing a for a 10-day period here. This is like a summer's amount of precipitation, um, and not a January amount of precipitation. So this is far above average amounts for the east. Now, I do want to take a look at that total snowfall real quickly, so we'll switch us over to that. I forgot to prepare this ahead of time. I do apologize. We do see that over the next 10 days in the grays and dusting, if anything, blues 2 to 6 inches of snowfall, purple 6 to 10, pinks 10 to 20, which, if you will note here, we see for most of the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, we are seeing these amounts. So 1 to 2 feet of snowfall, even three probably here for some of the mountainous regions of the Northeast. Certainly far more than we've seen the entire winter, and probably an above average amount for a 10-day period. So, out of a winter that's all been below normal, it is going to be nice probably for these folks to see above average amounts for at least one 10-day period, and really marginal for the standards here for the mountainous west. As again, the total precipitation, you can tell there's not nearly as much expected out here as there was over the course of most of January and December. So that explains why we're seeing a whole lot less there. Now, the GFS model, we can get a little bit further with this. So we get through snowstorm number 2 here. So that's 1, 2, and then we see the third shaping up here. And this one looks a lot further south than what we saw in the European model. So we're seeing a lot of the Northeast involved here, right around the 30th. And then right around the 1st, we also have a snow signal. And the funny thing here is that this one is further north than the European model. So you're getting some differing opinions on specifics. And again, it's pretty early to talk about specifics for these storms. But we do see plenty of snowfall somewhere in the Northeast with this storm around the 1st of February. We can see here this model says around the 3rd of February, another snowstorm shaping up for the Northeast, and then perhaps another about to shape up around the 7th. So this model is saying things aren't going to slow down too much as we enter into the beginning of February either, which is also very, very interesting. Taking a look at the Canadian model, we see great agreement. Storm number 1 there. Storm number 2 looks oddly similar. And then we get this third one right around the 30th, just like those other models were showing, and then one around the 1st. This model is really, really aggressive with the trough in the west and this ridge in the east, the southeast ridge. This model has, over the course of the last week or two, been, I think, overly aggressive with the southeast ridge. It's had a bias with that. With how this winter has gone, though, I wouldn't rule this out, but I have noticed that it has been a little bit overly aggressive with that as far as these snowstorms have gone as we've been tracking them. So this could be a little bit overly warm on the eastern side of things here, but it could not with how we've seen a lot of the beginning of January go. This could be realistic also. So it's going to be interesting to track. I think certainly, even though we have this overly aggressive southeast ridge, it's interesting to note that we also have a more aggressive trough in the west as well, on kind of like a higher contrast here, a much more aggressive jet stream pattern showing up here on the Canadian model. And it's going to be really interesting to see which one of these models is correct. We do upload every single day, so I highly recommend you subscribe so you get all of our uploads so you can tune in every single day. You can even hit the bell icon and click all videos for daily notifications so you don't miss an upload. Also, like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.